Greetings. I'd be pleased to introduce Brian Bonner, the Vice President for Parent Involvement with the California PTA. Brian, I think you're ready to begin your presentation. Want to go ahead and take it away?
All right, I can do that. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Brian Bonner, and I'm with the California State PTA. Glenn and I came up with a short presentation for you to show how the State PTA has for a long time been a leading advocate for children. We started out in the National PTA and California State PTA began in 1897 with work from Phoebe Apperson Hearst, who's part of the Hearst family that we all know of with the papers and Hearst Castle here in California. PTA was an early advocate for child labor laws. We wanted to get kids into school and out of factories, and you had kids as young as 10 working in factories many years ago. We're also a key supporter of the school lunch program so that we had children able to learn because they had enough food and nutrition in their systems. We're also key advocates for the establishment of a juvenile justice system. Before we had that, we had kids being prosecuted and incarcerated with adults. We also we don't want to rest on our laurels, and we have ongoing efforts that we are very proud of right now. We've been a key advocate for adequate school resources. This year we've seen finally a stop in cuts to school budgets, and just been the bleeding stopped, and we were joined with many other groups to begin to try to restore and improve our current school system. We've also been key advocates for healthy lifestyles for children, from making sure that they have adequate opportunities for PE and recess at school, along with adequate and proper nutrition in the school lunch program. We've worked very hard for increased parent, family, and community engagement with our schools. We've begun a training program through a large grant that we received from the Hewlett Foundation called School Smarts, where we're doing parent education about how the schools work and the things that the parents can do to work closer with their schools and also to support their children's education. It's been a wildly successful program, and we hope to be able to continue to keep it and keep it growing as we go forward. California State PTA also serves on advisory boards with the State Department of Education, and we work closely with a number of the divisions there at State Department of Education, including the Title I office. Their family engagement coordinator is an advisor to my commission. We have people who are working on the task force that's looking at the API, and there's several other opportunities that the State Department of Education has extended to us to participate in program development and policy making there at State Department of Education. We also working on issues directly related to today's conversation. We've been actively involved in preserving the privacy and preventing kids from being the victims of predators over the internet. We have a lot of kids who have access to the internet now, and being kids, they're not fully aware of some of the things that they can get themselves into, and so we've been working with families and kids to train them and provide opportunities for them to learn how to use the internet in a safe and enjoyable manner. Bullying has been a really key issue for State PTA. We sponsored legislation a couple years ago to provide an opportunity for kids who are victimized to transfer to another school much more easily. We were actually a sponsor of legislation, and National PTA recognized our efforts with the State PTA Advocacy Award last year. We also participated in the drafting and review of the Model School Library Standards. We were an advocate and advisor on that. When they had focus groups for the standards, we had representatives both in Northern California, and I and a member of my commission worked with Glenn at the focus group that was held in Orange County. And we believed that our voice was heard, and that there were some changes made to the focus group to emphasize to the standards to place more emphasis on bullying prevention and digital citizenship.
Brian?
Yes, Glenn.
On the note of my voice being heard, I just thought that was a perfect segue for me to interrupt and say, hi!
Hi, Glenn.
This highly professional, well-done series started off, and I actually had audio problems coming right in, and I hate to interrupt you just momentarily here, but we will pick up at the end of your presentation some of the details of this wonderful series and more about who you are. But I'm thankful that it's just a wonderful feeling to have your voice heard, isn't it, Brian?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, so please continue.
Okay, with regard to the digital literacy education, we have worked on education of students on what digital literacy really means. Say that 3 times. And in terms of the tone of voice, being civil, acting responsibly, and being safe. Kids should not be giving out a lot of identifying information so that predators can get in contact with them. Also, being responsible means that you follow the law with regard to copyrights and downloading material that's not supposed to be downloaded, and also in terms of the tone of in keeping the discourse on a professional and civil manner. We also helped with defining age-appropriate education for kids and parents. Kids have access to the internet starting at early elementary school all the way through high school, and a 7 or 8 year old has a much different understanding of the world than a 17 or 18-year-old does. And so we emphasize the notion that the standards need to be tailored to each grade. In particular, we also talked with the State Board of Education and the people putting together the standards about the importance of access to knowledge and content. We want our students to enter the job market prepared to compete in 21st century economy. And so the internet and the World Wide Web provide very great opportunities for kids to gain knowledge and to begin to develop their analytical skills so that they can be approach subjects in a very thoughtful and critical manner. And the standards emphasize that there's a progression of the skills that they need to learn, and it builds on skills that they learned in earlier grades. And ultimately, again, as I said, we want our kids to be prepared to enter the economy that's a global economy. It's an information-based economy, as well as there's still obviously a lot of manufacturing is needed, but the ability to assess and to look at things critically is becoming more and more important. We're not asking kids to graduate from high school and then go to work and tighten the same bolt 10,000 times a day. It's just those jobs just aren't there anymore. And so one of the things that Glenn and I worked on, as we discussed, we wanted to convey to you some of the values that the PTA uses as we approach various issues. Equity for every child is at the core of what we do in terms of the positions we take and the things that we advocate. Kids need access to resources. We've been in contact, the National PTA has been in contact with companies like Comcast and other cable companies. Comcast has started a program here in California to offer very low-priced internet access to kids and families that are part of the free and reduced lunch program. And the other cable companies here in California have stepped up to that as well. Cox here in San Diego, where I am, and Time Warner, and I guess Verizon as well, have all begun to step forward to offer very similar and low-price programs to allow their low-income families to participate in the internet and the resources that are available. Again, we really want kids to develop the skills needed to be successful in today's world, and critical thinking and the ability to find information, to assess that information, and to make decisions based on thoughtful evaluation of the issues is becoming more and more important. And we're also, as you see here on the screen, we are very concerned with the equity of access to technology. So you have challenges in urban areas, but we also have rural areas where there's challenges just with the infrastructure, that they don't have the digital pipelines that are much more available in urban areas. And so we've been working with a number of agencies to try to make sure that kids everywhere have an equal opportunity to reach their potential. And so here we are. I'm at the end. Here's my contact information. I do have to tell you that my term ends on June 30th. But if you send any email questions to this address at parenting@capta.org, my successor will be quite happy to answer any questions. And if you need to reach me, go ahead and send it before June 30th, and I'll be glad to provide you any information that I can. And with that, Glenn, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Well, thank you so much, Brian. I think we've done